How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And back in 1987, I want to say it was, Tecmo released Solomon's Key here in the US. And Solomon's Key was lauded for its really fun gameplay and really challenging puzzles, but it was also feared almost for its difficulty level. Because Solomon's Key was a hard video game. Still is. Now, it was also an incredibly popular game. So popular that years later, towards the end of the NES life cycle, Tecmo released a sequel. Well, it was a sequel, but it was also a prequel because the events of today's game take place before the events of Solomon's Key. And in a really interesting little storytelling twist, the story of the game is told from the perspective of a grandmother reading a story to her grandkids. So it kind of reminds me of one of my favorite movies from the 80s, The Princess Bride. But make no mistake, this game is not simple, and it's a lot of fun. Today, we're going to take a look at Fire and Ice, or Solomon's Key 2 for those in the UK, in Europe. Now, in Fire and Ice, you take control of a young Dana. Dana was the wizard that you controlled in Solomon's Key. And Dana has been called to Coolmint Island, where the winter fairies live, because a wizard named Druidia, or Druidle, or Druid, I think it's Druidia, I'm not sure, but has attacked the island and brought fire monsters to the island. And if you're not careful, those fire monsters will melt the island away, therefore just destroying the homeland of these fairies. So the queen of the winter fairies calls upon Dana to help her people defeat this wizard and his denizens, and she bestows ice powers upon Dana. Now, because this game takes place before Solomon's Key, Dana doesn't have the ability to jump, which adds another little difficulty wrinkle to the game, right? You can climb as high as one block, and you have to navigate the game world in that fashion and use your ice powers to make bridges, and to defeat the fire monsters in each level. Because each level, the object is basically to get rid of the fire in each level. Clear out all the fire, move to the next stage. Now, there are 100 stages, and each stage is a little more difficult than the last. And yeah, it gets pretty challenging there. There's also, after you beat the game, you complete those first 100 levels, you are presented with a cheat code to unlock an additional 50 stages and a sound test. And there's also a stage editor, but you can't save your stages. In Japan, they had different methods to save stuff on Famicom, from the cassette deck recorder, the Famicom disc system. I want to say you could save on it, but for whatever reason, we couldn't save here in the US. Kind of a raw deal, if you ask me. But yeah, this game is a lot of fun and it's very challenging. And I recommend it to anybody who really enjoys a good puzzle game, because yeah, you're gonna get your money's worth out of this one. Absolutely. Now, speaking of money, this game ain't cheap by a long shot. It came out like in the last year of the NES life cycle, 1993. And for that reason, there weren't a lot of copies released to begin with. And the copies that did get released are currently reselling for base price about $220. So yeah, getting a copy of Fire and Ice is going to be very hard. I don't even know if the European or Japanese versions of the game go any cheaper than that. I do know though that if you like puzzle games and you like action puzzle games, you should definitely check out Fire and Ice, because it is a fantastic example of the genre. This has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow, game was so bad they somehow released it twice.